Health Legal Warriors, can you pass standardized field sobriety tests in a DUI stop? We're just going to see if you're okay to drive. If you're interested in that area of the law, stay tuned. This is the video for you. My name's Attorney Lance Fryrear. I'm a defense attorney in Linwood, Washington. My law firm's been defending people charged with crimes all throughout Washington state for more than 25 years, and I'm putting out these videos to help educate the public. If you find this useful, please like and please subscribe. More people get to see it. More people get the help they need. First of all, what is a standardized field sobriety test? Well, it's supposedly something that helps an officer all throughout the United States of America and even other places determine whether or not someone's ability to drive is impaired in a DUI investigation. And they're supposedly made and validated by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. And if you work in my law firm, we've actually gone through training to actually do the same training as police officers to learn how to score and instruct drivers or subjects in field sobriety tests. And some of us are even through the instructor level where we can instruct others how to learn that. It takes a lot of work. The officers and also people in my office, we have to go through testing subjects and live drinking lab. Some people have had alcohol and some people haven't, and you have to sort of say what you think their level is by, their performance on these tests. And why I want to make this video is so many times I get a call about someone, unfortunately, who gets accused of DUI, and they say, yeah, I passed the test. And out of respect, I try not to laugh because there's no such thing, in my opinion, as an ability to pass a standardized field sobriety test because they're not there for people to pass. They're there as a tool for an officer to justify an arrest decision. And I'm going to go through some of the field sobriety tests and what the instructions are and what the scoring is so you can see how ridiculous it is to think that you could ever pass these standardized field sobriety tests when we have an officer who's just using it as a pretext in their subjective scoring of the test to justify probable cause for their arrest so they can get you to the breath test machine and get that number on you, and now you're toast, right? So you might understand that I probably would suggest for my own life, if I were pulled over for a DUI, I would not do a standardized field sobriety test, even stone cold sober. So what's the first test an officer has someone do? It's called an HGN, horizontal gaze nystagmus. Think about nystagmus as meaning the involuntary jerking of the eyes. And so supposedly this test is validated for alcohol consumption and not impairment. At least that's what us defense attorneys argue. But in this test, you're told to hold your head still and follow a stimulus with your eyes. And don't move your head. Don't turn your head. And you follow the stimulus back and forth. They do it a bunch of times, back and forth. They'll make it way out here even. And then they'll go up and down too. And they're going to be looking for certain things that you cannot even see. They're looking for whether or not there's equal tracking of the eyes. And that means, your eyes sort of supposedly work right. Looking for whether or not there's a smooth pursuit. If the eye goes jerk, 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 then it's not smooth pursuit. They're looking for whether or not there's sustained nystagmus, jerking at maximum deviation. And finally, a really weird one called angle of onset prior to 45 degrees. And it's really sort of a hocus pocus type test. The things that officers do wrong in that is they'll sort of arc to make the distance change, and they don't know where 45 degrees is off here, and they can't even really see the eyes, and they're basically going to say, hey, I find some nystagmus. If they find 4 out of 6 of those clues, 1 for each eye, so there's involuntary jerking in each eye, that's 2 clues. If it keeps jerking out here, that's another 2 clues. If there's 4 of 6 clues, that's supposedly a fail. And pretty much anyone who has consumed alcohol, they're going to say, I find nystagmus, because it's hocus pocus. They see it whether or not it's there or not. And for some people, about 35% of people, it doesn't work at all. It doesn't work for me. I have an eye problem called strabismus. I have to use each eye independently. And it literally would not work on me. But I guarantee if I was pulled over, they would just say, we'll take that into account, sir, and find nystagmus. So that's the first test they do. The second test is the big doozy, right? It's the one where you'll never see anyone pass this test. And I've looked at maybe, 25,000 reports between being a prosecutor and a defense attorney. It's the walk and turn test. In this test, they're going to say, hey, put yourself in a starting position, one foot in front of the other. My feet are now in front of the other. They're going to say, keep your arms at your sides and stay in that position until I tell you to start the test. Then they're going to say, when I tell you to, take 9 heel-to-toe steps down a line, turn in a prescribed manner, and return taking 9 heel-to-toe steps. Then they'll demonstrate, usually 3 steps. The officer's going to demonstrate 1, 2, 3. The officer's going to get to the 3rd step, and he's going to say, hey, this is my 3rd step. Pretend this is your 9th step, and then turn with keep your left foot planted, your front foot planted, and turn with the other foot, taking a series of small steps. And they'll turn around like this. I can see my back, and now they're going to say, take 9 heel-to-toe steps back the other way. So it sounds pretty simple, but they're still talking. Remember, you're on the side of the road, you can't hear anything, you're panicked, this type of thing. So they're going to say, now, as you walk, I want you to look at your feet as you walk. I want you to count each step out loud. I want you to keep your arms at your sides. And once you've started the test, don't stop walking until you've completed the test. Do you understand? And of course, we're trying to police authority. We haven't heard any of that, right? Even sitting on your couch or watching on your phone right now, I'm talking about as fast as an officer will. And do you remember all those instructions? I mean, I remember them because I've been talking about them for 30 years. So in this situation, the officer is looking for 8 different clues, okay? Sometimes they call them cues, sometimes they call them clues, but I call them clues. They're looking for 8 clues, and if you only do 2 things wrong, they say that's a fail and you're drunk. So remember, you're supposed to walk down a line. The first thing I ask people, was there a real line to walk down or not? Almost always it's an imaginary line. And one of the things the officer is looking for to score is whether or not you stepped off the imaginary line. Well, how can you step off a line you can't see and neither the officer can't see either, right? They're also looking to see if you miss heel to toe. If you miss heel to toe by more than half an inch, that counts as a clue. So if you step one time off the imaginary line, missing heel to toe by half an inch, that one step means you're drunk, okay? Additionally, they're looking whether or not you take your arms from your sides more than 6 inches. Does the cop get out a ruler and say, well, that's 6 inches? Did they say, hey, I'm going to score you if you keep your arms at your side, so that's really important? No, they just rattle it off, right? Looking to see if you do an improper number of steps, looking to see if you do an improper turn, they're looking to see if you break from the starting position, you go, They're looking to see if you start too soon. They're looking for 8 different things, and they're usually going to find at least 6, okay? Just a few bad steps will equal, an automatic fail on that one. So if you take the walk and turn test, you're just justifying their arrest decision. Finally, the one-leg stand. Hey, put your feet together, arms at your sides. When I tell you to, take 1 foot off the ground, approximately 6 inches off the ground, foot pointed out. I want you to look at your elevated foot and count out loud, 1001, 1002, 1003, and so forth, until I tell you to stop. Now, remember, I want you to look at that elevated foot, keep your arms at your sides, and if you happen to put your foot down while you're counting, pick your foot back up and start counting where you left off. The officer's going to look at his watch and say, you may begin. Now, the officer's timing 30 seconds, so that's not one of the validated clues, but he's timing 30 seconds. He wants to see, do you get to 25? Do you get to 40? What do you estimate 30 seconds at? But he doesn't tell you that you're supposed to count in 1 second increments, but that's what they do. Hey, it was 25 seconds, your clock's off, maybe you're on marijuana, but they didn't tell you to count in 1 second increments, right? And these are standardized instructions. I'm reading you the exact instructions. Unfortunately, for my life, I have them memorized. I don't have to look at a card like the police officers do. So, if there's only 2 clues there, using your arms for balance, 6 inches from the side, swaying, which is literally undefined. There is no definition of swaying in the guide. So, that was a sway, was it? Or was it windy? I don't know. Or hopping or putting the foot down, all those are clues. If there's just 2 of them, you fail. If you put your foot down 3 times, automatic 4 clues, fail. Okay? So, now, you got on work boots or something like that, they don't have to do anything. They don't have to suggest you take them off. You have a heel of a certain size, they're supposed to give you an opportunity to take them off. Remember, we're on the side of the road. There's 2 or 3 cops here by now. It's windy, it's rainy, we're embarrassed, we're scared, we can't even hear what's going on. We've never heard these instructions before. We're not a ballerina to begin with, right? So should you take these tests? What do you think? Any idea? So obviously, I would not take them, and although I can't say I'm an expert in them, pretty close, okay? So I demonstrate these constantly in my office, totally sober, I swear. And I start taking my walk, and I might have to put my hand on my shelf right next to me, because it's just human nature. We're not designed to walk a tightrope, right? You go around walking a tightrope heel to toe all day when you're sober even? It's absolutely ridiculous. But yet the court and the case law and the country is programmed to think that this means we're drunk, right? It's a circus act they're asking us to do. And if you refuse to do them in Washington state, that's not going to affect your license. It's not going to do anything bad. They might be able to say, hey, you did it because you refused because you knew you were guilty. Way better, because if I get a case where the driver did not admit to drinking, did not do the field sobriety test, did not do the handheld breath test, you can still do the test at the station, because they have to make the arrest decision on so little. When they have little evidence to begin with to make the arrest decision, now I got a chance. I got a chance to have a probable cause. Your case looks way better than all the other people's to the prosecutor. They want to deal with that motion. They're going to give you the deal, not the person who thought they were compliant and thought they could show they were sober. And even if they were, the cop's going to say, no, you weren't. So, did you pass the test? Hell no. You did not pass the test when you came into my office, because why would the officer be so stupid to write you passed the test, right? They pass the test by arresting them anyway, right? How else going to get yourself fired or sued besides writing that? So just think about it. You're not going to pass field sobriety tests. Now, someone might say in the comments, has it ever happened? It probably has. Officers, it's just totally wrong. I didn't really smell the alcohol. It's not good enough. I'm not going to see those cases, but I seriously doubt they exist, because an officer typically only asks for a field sobriety test if they smell alcohol. And in this state, alcohol equals arrest. Remember, one drink and driving equals arrest. We've had 0.02 DUIs in this office. That is not unusual. Remember, 0.08 is not the legal limit, it's the illegal limit. When you're 08, you're automatically illegal. If you're under 08, it does not mean you're legal. And go to any courtroom, you'll see droves of people being charged with DUI under an 08. So don't drink and drive. But if you all are pulled over, think about, from what I've said, do you want to do that circus act to let the officers justify an arrest decision they already decided to make when they pulled you over at hunting time between midnight or 2 a.m. where everybody's drunk in their mind? And sadly, they might be right. So I hope you found that useful. If so, please like and please subscribe. More people get to see it. More people get the help they need. More importantly, got a criminal problem in Washington State, feel free to reach out to our firm. If we get on board, we'll listen to what happened, we'll identify a way forward, and we will be there for you. Thank you.